Day 3 of the Supercharged G37 install starts right now. What is up and good morning, and today is the day 3 of the install of the Supercharged G37. As you guys see, nothing really has changed. I've been off for a couple days. I've actually been helping my dad with a renovation project. If you guys follow me on my Instagram, you'll know. But I mean, we're back. It's time to start this, and I'm not going to keep talking about it. We did get the header back with the second O2 bung welded into it, so we'll be able to put that on. I'm going to put the test pipes on, and we're going to finish up the header install, and then we're going to start on the oil cooler, and then we're going to put the radiator in, and we're going to get the front back together with the intercooler. So let's stop talking. Let's get to work. Okay, this part's not that interesting. You guys saw the header install on the other side. So I'm just putting this together. You guys can see I can have it all together as one. I have the downstream, the high flow cat. I have the one for the engine. And then we got this one. It's got extra long lead because that's going to the gauge on the inside. So it's just an extra bung that's welded in. So I'm gonna slide under the car, slide it up in, put this onto the head, and then I'm gonna tighten the bolts down and the header will be in. I don't know if I'm gonna hook up the high flow cats to the exhaust that's hanging just yet, because I do have to do a clutch on it, but I need to assess how much room I have in there to get the transmission out. I might do it, but other than that, I'm just going to put the header in. That way we can get started on the main part of this video, putting the radiator back in, the oil cooler, the intercooler, all the fun stuff. Header all in. Now we can start the fun stuff. All right, so I slid the fans in, ensuring that they both lined up down in here. And then you just will tighten this, which is right down here. There you go. So the fans are in. Now I'll just have to run the cord back along and plug it in, and everything on this side will be done. Then we can slide the radiator in. All right, give you one more look. You can see I have all the clips back in their respective places. This sensor is bolted back down here, and then you have this one that's following along here and goes to the major clip in there. So the fan is on that side. It's time to grab the new radiator and put the new radiator in. Okay, radiator and AC condenser all taken out of the packaging. I'm leaving this on so none of the fins get messed up. Make sure you guys remember the rubber feet that go on the bottom of these, because they will sit in there, and it helps with vibration and height adjustment. So we're gonna put these on, and then we're gonna slip this in. You can see where the AC goes. It'll go right through there. I'm actually gonna take this black bracket off. I want the lines to be able to move a little bit. And also when I have to put the piping in, I might have to, you know, finesse a little bit. So we're gonna leave the black bracket off until the very end. And the radiator's in. Fits like OEM. This thing is beautiful. You can see that the line's going through. If you look through, they're all pressed together. The way you know that they're pressed together is you can see the spring. The spring actually holds the coupling into the AC. So everything's in there tight, not moving. You can see the feet are on. So this is ready to go. Now we can start working on the oil cooler. It's gonna actually mount right here, and then the intercooler will go over it. Okay, I'm also putting in the reservoir. I forgot about this. Wanted to show you guys. So on the 370Z, if you guys are using this for a 370Z, you will probably have to notch this out and pull this back a little bit, so that way it doesn't hit the belt. However, on the G37, you can see there's about a finger width amount going in here. It's not gonna move. Even if it moves fully by me pushing on it, it doesn't touch the belt. So there shouldn't be any issue rubbing on the reservoir. But on the 370Z, I think this is actually a little bit closer. You might have to notch this out and move this back just a little bit. But we're looking good in here. All the clearance is fine. So we're gonna put the upper radiator hose on. Radiator hose is all on. I use the OEM clamps, making sure that they're positioned the same way just for cleanliness. Also wanting to make sure that I put the pliers in and spread it apart so it's nice and tight. These aren't moving, going anywhere. I also did The lower one, don't forget to do the lower one. It's easy to forget. I have myself. So if you're doing anything with the hoses on a radiator, I highly recommend that you check all the clamps while doing it, just so you don't miss any. Another thing, you can see the drain tube for the supercharger. I kind of have it tucked out of the way, and I have it zip tied along this harness piece, and then it's just sitting right here. He does have a shield that covers over it, but if you're gonna do an oil change on the supercharger, now you can see this will hang down nice and straight. You open this up, it drains out, and then you kind of just tuck it right back up in here. Keeps it nice and neat out of the way and out of the belt, out of anything making noise, anything like that. So this part is all almost completely done. Now we're gonna start on the oil cooler. So I also put this bracket back in place. There's no need to keep it off. And then I'll put the oil cooler right here, and then we'll start running the lines and do the sandwich plate where the oil filter's at. Okay, you can see nice and clean, super easy install, very tight clearance, nice. It's just, this is a really nice kit. These 10s went in real nice. It's nice and sturdy down at the bottom. When the lines go on and are zip tied and go there, it'll be nice and sturdy all around. So, and it sits back far enough that it gives us plenty of room for the supercharger. I mean the intercooler to go on the front without any rubbing or hitting issues. So I do have to see about this. This sticks out. You guys can see a little bit farther. I might have to take these brackets off so this can move in some, the power steering cooler. But other than that, this thing is going together just super nice. All right, I snugged the fittings on. These fittings have an O-ring on them, and the socket size is a 27. I snugged them down just hand tight. I didn't have to do it real hard. The O-ring will seal this all. So now the lines are ready to go on. But before we do that, we're gonna take off the oil filter, put the sandwich plate, and run the lines out and around, and this will be the last thing that we tighten down. And to point out the correct orientation of the sandwich plate, you can see where this is at. The sandwich plate, the two fittings for the AN fittings will actually go up this way, and then they'll 90 off here, and then we'll kind of like run the lines out this way and then out to the front. So they should be sticking up this way. You'll see the thermostat will actually be pointing down, and then this will be on here, give us enough space. And like I said, then the lines will come out, they'll 90 off and come to the front. Okay, so I have the lines kind of ran up and out where I need them. Make sure that you tighten this to this as well as this and everything before you put the sandwich plate in. So I just got done checking this one, and then I tighten these down. Now I can kind of rotate this up where I need it, and I will be using this to put the sandwich plate on. It goes through, and you tighten it down, and then it has threads here for the oil filter. So this is 1 inch. If you guys are using the Mocal one, this is a 1 inch socket. So now tightened up, you can see the orientation, how the hoses run. They kind of come right out here, and then they will go right through here and onto there. I took the center brace off one more time. I thought I was gonna be able to slide it behind, but I don't wanna damage the radiator or anything like that. So I took it off, I'm gonna set this up, and then I'll put it back on, and I'll probably zip tie it to it. So one thing too, there's this tab right here, I'm gonna actually cut off so the lines can come through here nice and smooth. And also if there's any excess line, these are pretty close as you guys can see, but it might kind of bulge a little bit. So I'd like it to bulge in here. So it creates like a nice, you know, flow, no kinks or anything like that. So I'm gonna cut this off and then we're gonna zip tie this together and the oil cooler will be done. Okay, now everything is all set up. Everything's tight, oil cooler's on. This kit is a super nice kit. You can see the lines are like exactly the right length. So nothing's in the way. I cut the ear off there, so this is able to be able to tuck in a little bit. And now we can start putting the intercooler and the intercooler piping on. Okay, with the intercooler on, look how nasty this thing looks. One thing I am looking at is the power steering cooler is sitting right up against this. So I'm gonna have to do something with these brackets and kind of let this push in a little bit more. So I'm thinking about taking these bolts off and then straightening these out a little bit so it pushes it up higher and back further. And it should give us the room we need to be able to put the intercooler on. All right, problem solved with the power steering cooler. You can see I actually took this bracket off of here, and one of these brackets I turned around and I bent up so that way this bolts to here, and then I drilled a hole through here and used this bracket to hold this on here. So it's nice and secure. All these lines run the same, and when you put the intercooler on, it's far away from it now. Okay, with the intercooler on, it's really nice how they put this together. They actually have this zip tied up on the bottoms on the inside ones, so you can put these screws on to hold it, and then you cut these off and we'll put the nuts on. So it'll make it nice and easy for us to put this together. So we'll crack that one off, and then we'll pull these out, and we will get the one nut on here. A little bit of a tight spot. There we go. We'll do the same for the bottom and this side, and then this could be able to be bolted where it's gonna live. All right, so installing, you can see that I put the factory hardware back on. Everything's on this side loose. Doing it on this side. However, the only one beef so far that I've had with this kit at all is the clearance between the studs on this side. And I don't know if everyone's different. Maybe this one just got a little bit too close to on the inside, but you can see there's like no room to put a nut in there. So I took the factory hardware out and I found this one actually is able to put on there, but even this I can't get in there at all. If you guys see, it's like even when I lift up on it, I don't have any room. So I'm gonna try and tighten it all down. Maybe it'll give me a little bit more room, just enough to get in at least one that's like this. But I'm definitely not gonna be able to put the factory ones. You can see how big the collar is on those. So I guess if I have to complain about anything about this kit, this is like it. And I mean, one little nut on here is really not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna tighten it all down now and see. We're gonna remove the cardboard and just see how this is gonna be looking. Man, that looks pretty. Look how evil this car looks now with everything on here. Okay, so these are all tightened up. These are tightened up. It actually just made it worse. You can see there's like no clearance in there whatsoever. So that one's gonna unfortunately have to be left alone. The next thing I do have to do is start running the piping. So one thing I forgot is I'm actually gonna have to trim this out a little bit. I'll probably have to cut about this much out, enough for the width of the pipe. So I'm gonna use the blue caps that came on the Supercharger, cover this up, make sure nothing gets in here, and then we're gonna trim this and get this pipe on. All right, getting ready to install the mass airflows into the pipes. One thing I did notice, you guys should check, for all the stuff that's in there, there was some, like, I don't know, maybe if it was from like slag from the welding or something, but there was some things that was in the tube that I had to make sure that I used a brush to make sure it's all out and smooth, and then I ran some water through it and I've been letting it dry. So just a good little tip. I did it through all the pipes to make sure that there's nothing in there, nothing that's gonna go inside the engine. So one good thing I would definitely check before you guys get anything together. So I'm gonna put the mass airflows in, and then we are going to cut this, and we're gonna get this side laid out and done. All right, to give you guys kind of a visual of how I'm gonna cut this out, this is about what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use the cutoff wheel and I'm gonna try and just cut out the bare minimum. This kind of being rounded off makes it much smaller for me to get the tubing through. I feel like if I have it set about like this, it'll give me plenty enough room to move it up and down and get it to go from here to there. So I'm gonna cut this out so we can get this tubing through here. Okay, and to give you reference, now you can see the pipe fits through there, has a little bit of clearance. I tried making it as clean and straight as possible. So cleaned up everything. Doesn't really look like I touched it, other than the fact you can see these little marks like that. I'm kind of like anal retentive when it comes to this stuff, but I don't want to try and make it any worse. Clean it up with the file is all I'm really gonna do. You're not gonna see it anyway. So this now can fit through here. I'm gonna put the clamp on here. I can take this off to keep, that was keeping all the stuff out of the intercooler, and this side will be completely done. Look how good this looks. So we got one pipe on. All the clamps are tight. Okay, before you guys say anything about the clamps not being the same way, I am actually doing this on purpose for ease to be able to get to tightening and loosening, because if you guys have ever tried to change clamps, tried to change anything inside a car after it's all put back together, it's a nightmare if you don't have it. This is aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, sorry. So these are going the same way and it's easy to get to, but I also have this one that way for that. So don't get on my crap about it. Anyway, this side's done. Now we have to kind of make some space. This will actually have two pipes coming from down here, so we have to make space down here. According to the Soho template, I'm actually gonna have to remove, I think it's like this diagonal piece, and then it comes up and goes here like that, or it comes down. I have to re-look at it, but I'm gonna map it out, tape it out like I did the last one, and then take off what I need to. And then the last thing we'll have to do is just put the pipes on with the couplers, and all of the supercharger stuff will be ran. Then it's just a matter of putting the latch back on here, the cover back on, putting the wire harness where it needs to go, and kind of resetting where the horn's at. There is a horn attached to this one side over here. There it is. But this one over here, I think you have to tuck down and then I'll zip tie, so that way it's still functionable. But yeah, that way it's out of the way of where the piping's at. So we're gonna get started on this side, and yeah, we're gonna see how this turns out. All right, as you can see, I'm like running out of daylight, but I do have in tape kind of where I have to cut on the inside here, up kind of at an angle, and then up across and down, and that will allow enough space for the tubing to go in. We're almost there. Once this tubing goes in, I put the tubing in here, and then this part will be completely set. Then we'll be able to put the front on and be done with all of the supercharger stuff. The next video will definitely be the fuel pump install and the clutch, as well as the CMAC kit, which takes the internal slave and puts it to external, but I'll explain that in the next video. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna cut that part out, see if we can get these pipes to fit in here, and then we're gonna wrap this video up. All right, all that to get to here, and we don't have the right couplers. So you can see this one is significantly bigger than this one. I don't have the right size to be able to make these work. I think they gave me one too many of one size and not enough of another. So I'm gonna actually have to contact the company, and I think that this is gonna be put on hold. You can see, I mean, this one's almost ready to go. I just have to connect this, tighten that down, and then it's just gonna be the two pipes. But unfortunately, I don't have all the stuff that I need. I have all the clamps that I need, but I don't have all the couplers. So I might go through my box, try and see what I can figure out in there. I mean, we made a lot of progress today. This is like 95% done. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I do have my Vortex supercharger in there, uses a lot of the same clamps, so hopefully I can piece together some stuff. But you guys can see there's like no daylight left, and I'm not gonna be able to get this all together, especially where you guys can see it. So I'm gonna call it right here. You guys see what's been done, what's needed to be done, and I mean, we're gonna go from here on the next video. So stuff happens. I mean, building cars is not always gonna go smooth, like I said in the other video, but I'm happy with how it's turning out. Give you guys one more look how everything's gonna be. It's beautiful. So once I figure out this coupler thing, we can throw those pipes on, and we will run the vacuum line for the blow off, and then everything will be done in the front. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this build. I'm really enjoying doing it, learning how it goes together and that type of stuff. You guys know that I'm sponsored by Vortec, and I love putting together Vortec kits. So yeah, I'm gonna call it right here. I hope you guys have been having a great week, and we're gonna get started on this tomorrow and start part number 4. So take care, y'all. Much love. See you in the next video.